Hello there guys, and welcome to this X-Plane 11 video. Leading Edge Simulations finally released version 1.5 of the Saab 340A. The new update brings full X-Plane 11 compatibility, as well as numerous fixes and improvements. Today we're going to be flying a short route from Wilmington International Airport to Ronald Reagan Regional Airport in the United States. We're going to be cruising at about 12,000 feet, and the approximate flight time today is 2 hours. So without further ado, let's get to it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring up the ground equipment, and we're going to remove everything here, and we're going to start the GPU. And now we are ready to begin preparing the aircraft. So we're going to jump to the flight deck. And now let's go ahead and set up our fuel. So we're going to go to flight, edit, weight and balance, and we want about 2 hours. We have about 2 hours and 15 minutes, which I think is sufficient. So we'll leave that alone. And we're going to bring up the checklist. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the before engine start check. And let's turn on our batteries. And check, and we're going to turn on the external power. And the bleeds. Let me get rid of this sound here. There we go. And avionics. Oxygen is on. Circuit breakers are checked. Flight recorder is okay. Parking brake is set. We'll head over to the cabin signs. Seat belts, no smoking. Engine instrument ignition check. They are checked. Everything looks okay. Fuel quantity is checked. Hydraulic is okay. Cabin pressure is set to automatic. Power condition levers are on ground idle. Fuel cutoff, that's checked. Let's check our trims real quick. Right, trims are set for takeoff. And the takeoff data bug we will check and set. Right, let's check that. All right, looks good to me. And we're going to set the speed to 150 knots. And that is also checked now. Now before we start the beacon, let's go ahead and set up our flight plan. So let's turn on our Garmin device. Really a beautiful aircraft, one of the very best, I think, made for X-Plane 11. The Saab 340A is a very immersive aircraft. It's very well made. The sounds, the textures, the overall quality of everything done on this aircraft is done to a very high standard. All right, looks like we're good here. Let's go ahead and load our flight plan. And this is, by the way, uses the default X-Plane 530 device. So we're going to click on flight plan, and we're going to select this one here. There we go. And we're going to select our procedures. So today for departure, I don't think there is any SIDS. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select our arrival and approach. So the first thing is the arrival. And today we're going to be arriving into the Iron Sierra 7 runway 01, and we're going to do an ILS approach through the RC transition, and we're going to load that, and then we're going to go to procedure again, and we're going to select our approach, and that is ILS 01, and enter, and we're just going to say enter. Load that, and we're now pretty much good to go. What does this say? Alright, so we need to put the course on 198. So let's do that. There we go, 198. Inside airspace. So this is all set now. And we are pretty much ready to go. So let's go ahead and grab our altimeter real quick. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. And the altimeter is 3004. 3004, and we'll do the same thing on the first officer side. 3004. Right, all set. And everything is looking good now for engine start. So let's quickly take a look at where we are right now. We are currently in the in this apron area. So what we're going to do, we're going to taxi via Alpha to runway 17. And then we're going to depart, and looks like we're going to have to make a left turn to intercept our flight path. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn on our beacons and check that all the doors are closed, which they are. And now we're ready for engine start. Now starting the Saab 340 is quite simple. We're just going to put the fuel lever here on start. There we go. And we're going to come here and we're going to start with the right engine first. Listen to those engine sounds. Really beautiful sounds on this aircraft. Let's set our altitude here while the engine starts to 12,000 feet. Right, looks like we have a good start on the right engine, so we're gonna start the left engine now. There we go. Alright, and we have a good start on the left engine as well. We can now proceed to the next checklist. Right. So this guy goes on. Let's check the bus tie, which is okay. And now we can turn off external power. That is checked. Generators. And we can turn on the generators now. Let's set the air conditioning. We'll set it to about right here. Emergency lights are armed. Fuel used reset. Condition levers to max. Now just when you put the condition lever on max, just this is the max position, and if you take this all the way here, this is actually now not the max position. The max position is right here. Okay, so just be careful about that. Okay, condition levers, ice protection, let's see here. Pitot is on, and overhead panel, we need to turn the main inverter to on position. We reset the bleeds, and now everything's good. That is checked, and the clear signal is received. Alright, so let's go ahead now and set our flaps for departure. Brakes are checked. Let's go ahead and remove the steering lock. There we go. Flaps are set, flight instrument and radios are checked. Prop speed, everything here is fine. We're going to check the... those guys are now armed, and the briefing is complete. Okay, Next checklist is the before takeoff checklist, and we'll perform that as soon as we are close to the runway. So we are now ready to taxi. So let's go ahead and turn on the nav light and taxi light. And we're pretty much now ready. Oh, we need to remove the GPU. Okay. We are now pretty much ready to go, so I'm going to release the parking brake and let's taxi to the runway. Parking brake is released. We are approaching the hold short point, runway 17. And we're going to bring the aircraft to a complete stop momentarily and configure everything for departure. That's the hold short point. Alright, that's good enough. I'm going to ease off on the power. Right, and let's set the parking brake. Alright, so we want to turn on the landing lights. Taxi lights can go off. We're going to turn on the strobe, and everything else is looking okay. Now for departure, what we want to do is we want to achieve about 85% torque, and you have to be very careful with the Saab, because if you push the power lever to the max, you will probably end up blowing up the engines. So we want about 85% torque for departure, and our rotation speed is about 105 knots. Now we do need to put this on takeoff inhibit, and let's go ahead and bring up the checklist again just to make sure that everything is done. So the before takeoff checklist: external lights are set, takeoff signal is received, air conditioning is set, transponder need to set. Let's see here. We're gonna do. Okay, I see what it's doing. All right, so 2000 and the oops. All right, so the transponder is now set, and let's go ahead and check the flight controls. They look all right to me. This is now checked. Takeoff inhibit is checked. So we are now ready for takeoff. This is the next checklist, which is the climb checklist. So we are good to go. We're going to release the parking brake, and let's go. Again, we want to watch the torque here. Alright, and we are now lined up with the runway and ready to go. .5 knots and rotate. And positive rate of climb. Gear is going up. Flaps are going up. And we're going to begin our left turn now. Right, let's switch the source to GPS mode. GPS is already set here. Alright, we are approaching about 3,000 feet now, and we are on a path to our flight route. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to engage the autopilot. To do this, we're going to come over here and we're going to press and hold for a few moments. And now the autopilot is engaged. We're going to select nav. And we're going to click on climb. So now the aircraft will automatically climb to 12,000 feet. We're going to have to do some power adjustments when we reach our final altitude. This is what's happening right now here in terms of our flight plan. Alright, let's go ahead and perform the climb checklist, and we're going to bring the checklist here and go to the climb check. Gear and flaps are up. Yep. Ice protection is set. We can turn this off now. Cabin signs, we'll leave them on. Air conditioning is set. Takeoff inhibit should be out, which it is. Cabin pressure is set. Prop sync is turned on. And we can turn off these two guys here. Okay, so there is a few things that we need to do once we reach our cruise level. At the moment everything is fine, and we continue to climb to 12,000 feet. We just leveled off at 12,000 feet, which is our final cruising altitude, and as you can see now, the speed is probably going to increase a bit here. What we need to do is we need to bring the props back to about 1,300 RPM. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, and that's good enough. Let's just watch our speed here. We'll ease off on the power just a bit to maintain our current speed. With the prop set at 1,300 RPM, there isn't really much that we need to do at this point other than monitor the aircraft systems and make sure everything is okay and enjoy the beauty of X-Plane 11. We continue to cruise at 12,000 feet, and everything is per design intent at the moment. A few things I want to share with you guys. One, regarding the comments and emails that I've been receiving. I do apologize for not being able to answer all your questions and comments recently. It's just the number has grown tremendously in the past year or so, to the point where I simply cannot answer all questions and all comments. I do apologize for that. I'm still trying very hard to answer all the questions and all the comments, and what I do ask is, it takes me a while to get to the emails, and so when you ask me a question, please be as detailed and direct in your question, because if I need some more information from you, then it's going to be even longer for you to get the answer. So just make sure that you're as direct and as detailed as possible. If you're reporting something with an issue that you haven't been able to resolve, please always include a log of your X-Plane 11 so that I can take a quick look. But if it's something major, if your sim is crashing, you might want to actually contact Laminar Research if it's an X-Plane issue, or contact the developer for support. I will do, of course, my best always to help out, but there are some things I just can't help you with. So that's in regards to comments and emails. The other thing I want to show you is this little FS-FlightControl. I've made a video of this really cool plugin. In my opinion, it is the best electronic flight guide, if you will, for X-Plane 11. It works actually for X-Plane 11, for X-Plane 10, and it works also for P3D. I'm going to link I'm going to link the video in the description section so that you guys, for those of you who are not familiar with FS-FlightControl, can go and take a look at it. I use this program faithfully for everything from flight planning. I normally load the flight plan that I create from SimBrief or PFPX into the program, but it's a really cool program that allows you to manage your flight. And if we go here, for example, to aircraft, again, we can look at the aircraft gauges, and we can show the 6-back gauges here, which is really cool. It's got a lot of nice features. I'm not going to go through everything here, but suffice it to say that this is probably one of the best EFB programs available for X-Plane 11. Highly recommend it. Okay, so what we're going to do is, if we go to position, now this is normally used for approach training, but I use this to grab the ILS frequency of our runway, which is 109.9, and this is already set here for the localizer. And this is the airport, Ronald Reagan, and as you can see, you can do lots of different things with this program. You can practice downwind start, downwind, and do your base and then final, or you can do it the other way if you like. You can also practice 8 and 3 nautical mile final. There's a lot of things. You can actually practice a particular SID and star with an airliner. It will set up the aircraft in exactly the position that you select at the beginning of a SID or a beginning of a star, for example. A really nice program. I highly recommend it, and I will link the video that I created of this program in the description section for those of you who are interested. So I'm going to let you guys enjoy the flight, and I will check back with you right before our top of descent point. Welcome back, guys. We are getting closer to our top of descent point. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a few checks here. This is our top of descent point. So we are looking at about 17 nautical miles before our top of descent. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset the altitude, MCP altitude, to 1,700 feet, which is our approach altitude or platform altitude for Ronald Reagan Airport. So let's do that, and let's see here. We're going to begin our descent, and then we're going to activate the approach. The weather conditions are less than perfect here as we approach our destination, but nothing too serious, I hope. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the anti-icing at this point, as it looks like there are some clouds here that we're going to go through, and there are some thick clouds. Temperature is -4 Celsius, and we're going to turn on the left and right engine anti-ice as well. So I've received the correct altimeter setting for our current position, which is 2984, and as you can see here, we're going through a thick layer of cloud. Hopefully everything will be okay for our approach, and at this point I think we can begin the descent to 1,700 feet. Alright, so we're going to go ahead now and begin our descent. We're going to click on vertical speed, and this is the vertical speed display here, and we're going to go ahead and reduce the... We're going to descend at about 1,300 feet per minute. That's about right. And of course we need to ease off on the power. And we are now approaching 10,000 feet. Landing lights will go on. We are approximately 1,000 feet from our approach altitude now, and we are nearing our destination. We continue to descend to 1,700 feet, and at this point we're going to come here to the GPS device procedure, and we're going to select activate approach. And we're going to continue to 1,700, and let's see here. We're going to reduce our speed to about 140 knots. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the props back to max. There we go. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the GPS device and we're going to change this to V-lock so that we can intercept the localizer. And we're going to continue on the current heading. And we just intercepted the localizer. And what we can do at this point is we can hit the approach button. And in preparation for landing, we're going to turn those guys on. We are now lining up with the runway. As you can see, this is the localizer here. And the runway is right ahead of us. Our speed is now dropping below 140 knots. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to extend flaps, first degree of flaps. And we're going to maintain about 120 knots for our approach. We are pretty much lined up with the runway now. A little bit of turbulence here as we approach Ronald Reagan Airport. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and disengage the autopilot and take control of the aircraft. And to get rid of the autopilot disconnect warning, just press the red button here. And it's my plane now. And as you can see, we have a very turbulent weather here at Ronald Reagan Airport. And flaps full. We're a bit too high.
Think rate.
And touchdown. Alright, let's go ahead and take a quick look at our landing. I'm going to bring the aircraft to a complete stop here and set the parking brake, and let's take a look at our landing. Well, folks, I hope that this was an enjoyable and informative video of the leading edge simulation Saab 340A. This is pretty much the conclusion of our show today, so I do want to thank you all very much for watching the video. And until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other. I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye for now.